In a galaxy filled with wonders, an art festival was the highlight of the year. Creatures from different worlds gathered in a grand hall decorated with lights and colorful banners. They came to showcase their artistic talents and to see the best art from across the universe. Excitement buzzed in the air as aliens admired strange sculptures and vibrant paintings. Among the crowd stood Alex, a human artist who felt small in this sea of extraordinary beings. He looked around at the bizarre and intricate art displayed by other artists. There were swirling colors that danced on canvases and sculptures that moved as if alive. Alex took a deep breath and reminded himself why he was here. He had traveled far from Earth to share his art, which he believed held a special beauty, even if it was simple. As the festival began, alien critics took their places in front of the stage. These critics were known for their sharp tongues and high standards. The main critic, Zarnak, was a tall, green creature with 3 eyes and a reputation for being ruthless. He had little patience for anything he deemed basic. Alex's heart raced as he prepared to unveil his painting, knowing the risk of facing such a critic. Finally, it was Alex's turn. He stepped up to the stage, his hands trembling. With a smile, he revealed his painting, a beautiful sunset over a quiet lake on Earth. The colors blended softly, with shades of orange, pink, and purple filling the canvas. To Alex, this painting captured the peace he felt during quiet moments back home. The crowd fell silent for a moment, and then the laughter began. Zarnak's voice echoed through the hall. "Look at this! A simple sunset! How boring." The other critics joined in, chuckling and shaking their heads. "Basic art for a basic species," one of them shouted, causing more laughter to ripple through the audience. Alex's heart sank. He had poured his emotions into this piece, hoping to share a glimpse of humanity's beauty. But instead, it felt as if the crowd was mocking him. Despite the laughter, he stood tall and cleared his throat. "This painting isn't just a sunset," he began, his voice steady. "It represents moments of peace and reflection. It shows the beauty of simplicity." His words hung in the air, and for a moment, the laughter faded. Some in the audience exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from amusement to curiosity. Alex continued, "On Earth, we often find beauty in simple things. A sunset can bring back memories, feelings, and hope. That's what I wanted to share." Zarnak raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the human's boldness. The laughter had subsided, but the alien critics were still skeptical. One of them, a small creature with a bright purple body, chimed in. "But how can something so simple be called art? We create complex pieces that tell grand stories." Alex nodded, understanding their perspective. "Art can be complex, yes, but it can also be about feelings. Sometimes, a simple image can speak louder than 1,000 words. It's about the connection we feel to what we see." His voice carried a sincerity that caught the attention of some skeptics in the crowd. As he spoke, Alex noticed a few aliens nodding in agreement. He felt a spark of hope. Maybe they could understand. Maybe his art could touch them despite its simplicity. The laughter had turned into whispers, and for the first time the critics seemed to listen. The atmosphere in the hall began to shift. While some still chuckled at the idea of a human artist, others leaned forward, intrigued by the passion in Alex's voice. They started to think about their own art, reflecting on what it truly meant to them. As Alex stood there, he realized that he had done more than just unveil a painting. He had opened a door for a conversation about art, emotion, and connection. The journey had just begun, and he was ready to share his heart with a galaxy that had initially laughed at him. In that moment, Alex felt a sense of determination. No matter how simple his art was, it had the power to move hearts, and he was not going to let anyone take that away from him. The grand hall was filled with laughter and chatter as the art festival continued. Creatures of all shapes and sizes wandered among the displays, admiring the works of talented artists. But for Alex, the human artist, the joy of the festival quickly faded. The laughter from earlier still echoed in his ears, stinging like a sharp knife. He had hoped to share a piece of his world, but instead he felt like a joke. As Alex stood by his painting, he noticed a group of aliens huddled together, pointing and giggling at his artwork. Their bright colors and intricate designs stood in stark contrast to his simple sunset. Zarnak, the main critic, was at the center of the group, his 3 eyes glimmering with mischief. Alex could hear bits of their conversation filled with mockery. "Can you believe this? A child could paint this. Zarnak exclaimed, causing the others to burst into laughter again. Alex felt his cheeks burn. He tried to remind himself that art was subjective, but it was hard to shake off the sting of their words. Suddenly, one of the aliens, a tall being with shimmering blue skin and delicate wings, approached Alex. Her name was Lyra, and she had a reputation for being kind and open-minded. "Hi, I'm Lyra," she said softly. "I think your painting is beautiful. It reminds me of the sunsets on my home planet." Her gentle smile gave Alex a bit of hope. "Thank you," Alex replied, feeling a bit lighter. "I just wanted to express the beauty of simplicity." But before he could say more, Zarnak interrupted. "Oh, please, Lyra," Zarnak said, rolling his eyes. "You can't be serious! This isn't art, it's just a colorful mess. We come here to see real talent, not this basic nonsense." His words hit Alex hard. Zarnak's laughter echoed in the hall, and Alex felt crushed once again. As the festival progressed, Alex watched as other artists showcased their work. There were complex sculptures that twisted and turned, and paintings color and detail. Each artist received applause and admiration, while Alex stood in the shadows, feeling more isolated. Zarnak and his group continued to poke fun at Alex. They walked around the hall, mimicking his style, making exaggerated gestures as they pretended to paint basic art. The crowd laughed along, and Alex's heart sank deeper. He felt like he was disappearing, swallowed by their mockery. Just then, a group of aliens gathered around a massive, colorful mural that seemed to glow. It depicted a great battle between two alien species, filled with intricate details and fierce expressions. The audience cheered and clapped, completely absorbed by the grand spectacle. Zarnak, caught up in the excitement, strutted around, bragging about his ability to recognize true talent. "Now this is art!" Zarnak shouted, pointing at the mural. "This is what makes our galaxy great. It tells a story, it moves the soul." The crowd roared with approval. Alex felt a mix of anger and sadness. He understood that art could tell stories, but why did it have to be complex to be valued? He took a deep breath and tried to shake off the feeling. He thought about his sunset painting, how it represented peace and connection. It may not be grand, but it came from his heart. Just then, Zarnak turned back to Alex, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "You should just give up, human," he said, smirking. "You'll never understand the true beauty of art. Stick to your crayons and leave the real art to us." Laughter erupted once more, and Alex felt his spirit deflate. But as he stood there, surrounded by laughter, he remembered Lyra's kind words. He realized he had to stand up for himself and his art. With a determined heart, he took a step forward, ready to speak his truth. He would not let their ridicule silence him. "Art is not just about complexity," Alex called out, his voice clear and strong. "It's about the emotions it evokes. It can be simple, yet profound. And if my painting can touch even one person, then it has done its job." The laughter quieted for a moment as some in the crowd turned to look at him. Maybe, just maybe, his message would resonate with them. Even in the face of ridicule, Alex found the strength to share his passion. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew he had to keep fighting for what he believed in. The festival buzzed with excitement, but for Alex, the atmosphere felt heavy. He stood near his painting, feeling the weight of Zarnak's harsh words and the laughter that echoed in his ears. Many of the alien artists were talented, but why was it so hard for them to see the beauty in something simple? Alex took a deep breath and focused on his art, trying to block out the noise around him. As the day continued, more artists took the stage, showcasing their works filled with complexity and grandeur. Each performance was met with cheers and applause, and Alex felt smaller and smaller. He watched as Zarnak strutted around, soaking up the attention like a star. The laughter from earlier still lingered in the air, but Alex noticed something different happening. A few aliens looked bored, their expressions showing that they were not as thrilled by the grand displays as they had been before. In the corner of the hall, a group of aliens gathered around a strange, moving sculpture. The piece twisted and turned in a dizzying manner, but many seemed lost in the chaos. Alex saw one alien, a tall creature with delicate features and bright purple skin, shaking their head. "This is just noise," they muttered. "Where is the feeling?" Alex's heart quickened at these words. Could it be that others were starting to see things differently? He decided to take a chance and approach the small gathering. "Excuse me," he said softly. "What do you think of that piece?" The alien turned to him, surprised. "It's impressive, but it lacks depth," they replied. I feel nothing when I look at it. It's all show, no soul. Encouraged, Alex spoke up. That's how I feel about my painting. It's simple, but it's real. It captures a moment of peace and beauty. The alien nodded, and soon others in the group began to chime in. I think I understand what you mean, said another alien with sparkling blue skin. Sometimes we forget to appreciate the simple things. As more conversations sparked among the small group, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he wasn't alone in his belief that art should evoke emotion, regardless of its complexity. As they talked, a few more aliens joined in, and soon the small group grew into a lively discussion about art and its true purpose. Just then, Zarnak strode over, his expression smug as he overheard the conversation. "What's this?" he asked, feigning surprise. "Are we talking about basic art again? How delightful." His words dripped with sarcasm. Alex felt his heart race, but he stood firm. "We're discussing the importance of emotion in art, Zarnak. Not every piece needs to be a complex spectacle to be valued." Zarnak smirked, ready to dismiss Alex again. "Emotion? Please! Art should challenge the mind. It should be bold and grand. Who cares about feelings?" But Alex didn't back down. Feelings are what make us connect with art. A simple sunset can remind someone of home, of love, of peace. Isn't that worth something? The crowd around them began to murmur, some nodding in agreement with Alex. A young alien with bright yellow skin spoke up. "I think Alex is right. I often miss the simple beauty in my own art. I get caught up in trying to impress others." The tide was turning. As Zarnak struggled to find a witty comeback, Alex felt a rush of courage. Art is not just about showing off skills, it's about sharing experiences. When we connect with our feelings, we create something that lasts. A hush fell over the crowd, and for the first time, Zarnak seemed unsure of himself. The laughter had faded, and many faces looked thoughtful. They began to realize that Alex's message was resonating, and perhaps they had been too quick to judge. Encouraged by the response, Alex continued, "Art should make us feel something, even if it's just a moment of reflection. It doesn't have to be grand to matter." Slowly, the crowd began to clap, a soft sound that grew louder. Aliens began to cheer for Alex, recognizing the truth in his words. Zarnak, now visibly frustrated, turned to leave, but the energy had shifted. In that moment, Alex felt a sense of victory. He had stood up for his art, and it had sparked a meaningful conversation. The atmosphere in the hall was different now, filled with a new understanding. People were beginning to see that every piece of art, no matter how simple, had its place. Alex smiled as he looked at his painting, no longer feeling small. He had not only defended his work, but had also inspired others to appreciate the beauty of simplicity. The turning point had come, and he was ready to embrace whatever came next. As the applause echoed through the grand hall, Alex felt a rush of warmth and joy. The crowd's reaction was overwhelming. For the first time since he arrived, he felt like he belonged. The laughter and mockery had faded into the background, replaced by genuine interest and curiosity. Aliens gathered around, eager to hear more about his painting and what it represented. Among the crowd was Lyra, the kind alien who had complimented him earlier. She stepped forward, her wings shimmering in the colorful lights of the festival. "You spoke so beautifully, Alex. Your words touched everyone here," she said with a bright smile. "I think you've opened their eyes to something important." Alex couldn't help but grin back. "Thank you, Lyra. I just wanted to share my love for simple things. I never expected this kind of reaction." As more aliens joined the conversation, they began to share their own experiences with art. One alien, a tall being with silver skin and sparkling eyes, stepped forward. "I used to think that art had to be complicated to be good, but now I see that simple pieces can hold deep meaning. Thank you for reminding us of that." Alex felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He had come to this festival feeling small and uncertain, but now he was at the center of a meaningful discussion. The more he spoke, the more engaged the crowd became. They asked questions about his painting, about Earth, and about the feelings behind his art. Zarnak stood at the edge of the crowd, his arms crossed and his expression dark. He seemed annoyed by the turn of events, but could do nothing as the audience began to shift their admiration from him to Alex. Alex took a moment to glance at Zarnak, who had once been his biggest critic. The change was striking now. It was Zarnak who looked uncomfortable and out of place. As Alex continued sharing his thoughts, he noticed an alien with bright green skin and huge, expressive eyes. She looked captivated by his words. "What else do you paint, Alex?" she asked. Do you have more works that show the beauty of simple things? Alex's heart swelled with excitement. I have many pieces, he replied, each capturing different moments and emotions. I believe that every experience has a story to tell. The crowd leaned in, eager to learn more. Can you show us? A young alien with fluffy pink fur asked. We want to see more of your art. Encouraged by their enthusiasm, Alex nodded. I would love to. I have a collection of paintings back at my studio. They all tell stories about life on Earth, moments of joy, sadness, and everything in between. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Then let's visit your studio. We can experience your art together. The idea thrilled Alex. A part of him worried that they wouldn't be as interested in his other works, but the excitement in the air lifted his spirits. As the crowd began to disperse, buzzing with anticipation, Zarnak stepped forward, his voice dripping with sarcasm. This is all very sweet, human, but let's see if your art holds up in front of a real audience. His words were meant to belittle, but they only fueled the growing interest in Alex's work. Why don't we make it a challenge? Lyra suggested, her eyes shining with excitement. Let's hold a showcase of Alex's art. Everyone can come and see how it resonates with them. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Alex felt his heart race. He couldn't believe this was happening. Zarnak's expression soured, but even he could not deny the excitement that was building. Alex looked around at the friendly faces, feeling grateful for their support. I'd be honored to share my work with all of you, he said, his voice filled with sincerity. Art is meant to be experienced and shared, and I can't wait to show you more. As they made plans for the showcase, Alex felt a shift within himself. No longer was he the timid artist hiding behind a simple painting. He was an ambassador for the beauty of simplicity, ready to share his perspective with the galaxy. That night, as Alex prepared to leave the festival, he looked at his painting one last time. The sunset seemed to glow brighter, reflecting the hope and joy that had blossomed within him. He was ready for the awakening of not just himself, but for all the beings who would come to appreciate the art of simplicity. With a heart full of excitement, Alex stepped forward into a new chapter of his journey. The festival had become a turning point, and he was eager to see where this path would lead. The day of the showcase arrived, and the energy in the air was electric. The grand hall was filled with bright lights and decorations, creating a warm and welcoming atmosphere. Alex felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he set up his paintings. This was his chance to share his art and the emotions behind it with a larger audience. Aliens from all over the galaxy gathered to see what Alex had to offer. Creatures of every shape and color filled the hall, their eyes wide with curiosity. Lyra was there, looking radiant as she helped Alex arrange his artwork. You're going to do great, Alex, she said, giving him an encouraging smile. Remember, this is about sharing your passion. As the audience began to settle, Alex took a deep breath. He could feel the weight of their expectations, but he also felt the support of his new friends. He was not alone. Zarnak, still trying to regain his status, stood at the back with a smug look on his face, arms crossed. But this time, Alex wasn't intimidated. He was ready to show the galaxy what his art could do. When it was time to begin, Alex stepped forward, his heart pounding. Hello, everyone, he called out, his voice steady despite his nerves. Thank you for coming to my showcase. Today, I want to share with you the beauty of simple things through my art. He started with his sunset painting, the very piece that had brought him so much ridicule. This painting represents peace and tranquility, Alex explained. It captures a moment when the day ends and the sky is painted with colors of hope. It's a reminder that beauty can be found in simplicity. As he spoke, he noticed the crowd leaning in, their expressions changing from skepticism to curiosity. Some nodded, connecting with the emotions he described. Alex felt a surge of confidence. He continued to share the stories behind each painting, explaining the emotions that inspired them. There was a piece depicting a mother and child, their faces filled with joy. This is a celebration of family, Alex said. The bond between loved ones is a treasure that can be expressed in the simplest of moments. The crowd reacted positively. A few aliens whispered among themselves, and Alex caught snippets of their conversations. I never thought simple art could evoke such deep feelings, one said. Another added, he really understands what art can be. With each painting, Alex could see the audience's perspective shifting. They were starting to see the value in his work. Even Zarnak seemed less confident, his frown deepening as the crowd engaged with Alex's art. After sharing a few more pieces, Alex looked out at the audience, feeling a sense of connection. Art is a reflection of our experiences, he said. It doesn't always have to be grand or complicated. Sometimes the simplest things can touch our hearts the most. Just then, an alien with bright orange skin stood up. You've changed my mind, Alex. I thought simple art was worthless, but now I see the beauty in it. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. The audience erupted in applause, and Alex's heart swelled with joy. It was more than he had hoped for. He glanced at Zarnak, who looked shocked and frustrated. The tides had turned, and Alex was now at the forefront of the conversation about art. Lyra stepped forward, her voice shining with enthusiasm. Let's all celebrate this moment. Alex has shown us the importance of appreciating every form of art, no matter how simple it may seem. The crowd cheered, and Alex felt a wave of happiness wash over him. As the showcase continued, Alex noticed that many aliens were now discussing their own artwork. They shared their stories, connecting with one another in a way that had not happened before. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, joy, and a newfound understanding of what art could represent. By the end of the day, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment. He had turned ridicule into respect and had inspired others to look at art in a new light. Zarnak, finally defeated, slinked away, leaving Alex to bask in the warm glow of success.
As the crowd began to disperse, many came up to Alex.
They expressed their appreciation for his art and how it had opened their eyes. Alex felt grateful, knowing that he had not only defended his work, but had also sparked a change in perspective among those around him. Looking around at the happy faces, Alex smiled. He had found his place in this galaxy, not just as an artist, but as a bridge between cultures. He had shown that art, in all its forms, had the power to connect people, evoke feelings, and inspire change. As he packed up his paintings, Alex knew this was just the beginning. He had awakened a new understanding in himself and in others, and he was excited to see where this journey would lead him next.